ma'am. So I'm going live. Count to three, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Stop scrolling. Stop scrolling. You're on Diva's Two Cents, where I come and I break down complicated matters every single week for you so that you can get the best of it all. For the past couple of weeks, all I've been talking about is generational wealth. What you can do to build generational wealth for your families moving forward, your children, their children. And I've been talking about different ways for you to build that generational wealth. And today is no different. Today, I am so excited today that I'm going to have someone that's going to actually talk to you about a way, a special way that only you would embrace. I have today Mr. Liborio Derario. He's a real estate professional. He is an investor. He's a close friend of mine. Please welcome Liborio. How are you, Liborio?
Hello, Diva. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to a nice, challenging dialogue about real estate investing and generational wealth.
Yeah, I have a lot of folks that are interested in this because it generational wealth is built with passive income, right? You don't have to do it. You want freedom, and I tell you, you're an architect, all right? You were an architect before you were an investor, right? So that's really a rare combination, right? So let me ask you this. I got a couple of questions, all right? I'm not gonna throw you softballs here. I'm really gonna ask you difficult questions for you.
Let me
So
get ready.
architect and real estate investor, how did those two worlds collide for you? And why does that dual lens give you an unfair advantage in flipping homes? Because that's what you do, right?
That's one of the numerous things I do in real estate investing. That's the easiest barrier breaker for people that want to get started because there's no risk and no money, no experience, and I can teach you how to make your first $5,000 to $10,000 in 30 days or less if you follow my simple blueprint. However, what made the worlds collide? Well, I was working for an architect, and when I got out of school, actually, I was working for an architect while I was in college, making money and coming back on the weekends. I was a Rensselaer Polytech grad. I was K-State first for 3 years, and then I transferred to Troy, New York, K-State, Kansas State University in Manhattan, Kansas, to Little Apple, the identity crisis city or town, as it were. And I decided to work for this architect full time when I got out of college, and I met some guys that were not the smartest guys in the town, and not the smartest guys in as far as knowledge about building or anything, but they were making a ton of money, and they were pulling in Jaguars and Mercedes, and one guy had a Ferrari, and I'm like, I'm looking at these guys, and I'm in my 20s, I just 23, 24, and these guys are only 3 or 4 years older than me, and I'm looking at them like, what are these guys doing? And they're talking to my boss, and so when they were done talking, I used to follow them out and talk to them a little bit, and I talked to this one guy who was driving a Jaguar, which is something I always wanted, and I said, man, how did you do this? And he says, real estate. I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, well, my dad, okay, so his dad was in it, so he sort of was second generation. He's like, yeah, we just buy houses, renovate them, and clean them up and sell them, or we keep them and rent them. He's like, and I've been doing that for the last 5 years. So he started right where I was, and I said to myself, I want to do this. And so I talked to a few guys, and I wasn't married then yet, Diva. So I was with my girlfriend, my real girlfriend, and I decided that, I asked the boss, I need a piece of the action. I see all these guys coming in here. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week for him. I learned the architectural business through him. And he said, aren't you getting married? I said, yeah. I said, but if I can't get a piece of the action, I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice. He's like, you don't have to give me your 2 weeks notice. He's like, pick your stuff up and you can go. So I started my own architectural practice that day. And well, not that day. We got married. A week later, we went on our honeymoon to Paradise Island down in the Bahamas. Beautiful oceanfront villa. And I told my wife, though, that day when I came home before we got married, a week before we got married, listen, I have no job. When I come back, I'm going to start doing this architectural practice, and I'm going to start investing in real estate. And before we got married, I bought my first two houses. very simply, I wanted to buy something that had rental income. We never lived in the main house. It was two houses on one property. It was a three-bedroom little village colonial, and then behind it was a little one-bedroom studio apartment, garage over a garage. We lived in that, Lori and I, and we rented that front house. And for 20 years, I never lived in that front house. I flipped some houses, and I was able to build a nice big three-bedroom apartment, big apartment on top of that apartment where we lived, and we raised our two children for 20 years there.
Wow.
From 20 till I was in, almost 40 years old. And I was flipping houses the whole time. And I was able to buy a big, huge 4,500 square foot brick ranch house before my son was born, 2002. And
Wow.
renovated that whole thing, took the money out. So I've been doing it for a long time, Diva.
Wow, wow, that's an interesting story. So let me ask you this for the viewers out there. Most people think that Zillow is where to go to find your homes. Is that the source? I mean, is that where you go to find your homes?
I do use Zillow. Okay, we can use Zillow. There's ways to use Zillow. But again, Zillow gives you this value. So when people look at the value, people that don't know what I know and they are investing and they find properties and they say, that house is worth $550,000, let's say. It's not worth $550,000 unless it's completely minted out, like they say. Everything is brand new. That's after repair value. So the Zillow values are never, ever the true value of a property. And the only way to determine that is you have to go look at the property, you have to know what you're looking at, and you have to see if all of the pieces of the puzzle, okay, of the house, the furnace system, the air conditioning system, the roof, the plumbing, the electric, you have to be able to evaluate all that and see what you need to do to that property to get it to that 550 value. So I use Zillow for a few different things. Okay, Zillow is very important to use as a barometer. So that'll give you a fair market value. And then you can use Zillow to find different things, different categories like cash buyers and regular buyers and days on the market and so forth. So you can evaluate an area. So we use Zillow for beginners who are starting. I show them how to use Zillow to determine which markets are hot based on how many days the houses are on the market before they're selling. So when you go into that market, if you're going to invest there, if it's on the market 45 to 60 days and you're looking to flip a house within 14 to 21 days, you're in the wrong market. So Zillow can be the indicator for you to allow you to say, don't go into that market, let's go look at another market. And there's many ways there's other things you can do with Zillow, Diva. But,
I know.
That's the main one, right?
Okay.
I really work with off-market houses. I try and find the off-market.
Okay.
Right?
But you mentioned some things in there that perhaps maybe a novice, like let's say I never bought a home. I go in Zillow. You mentioned the architecture of the building. You mentioned the heating. I mean, those things because you're an architect. But what would, for my viewers, what would you say would be the main reason why you would run away from a home if you walked in and you saw? What would that be?
I never run away. The worse the house is, the faster I buy it if the price is right. So it's always the price. It's always value. Okay, it's always value. So if you see, okay, if you're buying a house for yourself, an individual, and they're going to do this real estate investing to just find a house for themselves, get out of renting. They want to be a homeowner. They're going to use the strategies to be a first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. Any cracks in the foundation that are horizontal, vertical cracks. Unless the vertical cracks that are shifting this way, which means there's a horizontal shift, there's a problem there. If there's little hairline cracks that are going, around the horizontal with the blocks and so forth, it could be differential settlement. You get that all the time. So structurally, the basement, the lower level, you would examine that or have an inspector look at that for you. You see that, you got to run. You got to run. I don't run, but because I know what to do with it. And I know what it costs.
Wow. Okay, well, I like to talk about, that's really like finding, right? So you're finding the home, and those are the questions for that. But I like to talk about the pink elephant in the room. Those of you that know me know that I always find a way to talk about that pink elephant in the room that everybody knows is there, but nobody really talks about it. Well, to me, the pink elephant in the room in real estate is really money. So a lot of people listening right now believe that they need $100,000. $100,000 at least to start flipping. What would you say to those folks?
It's a lie. It's a lie, Diva. Find, fund, and flip. Those are my three things. And funding, okay, again, I have numerous strategies, over 50 strategies, maybe close to 70 or 80, on how to fund properties without using any of your own money. So it doesn't mean that there's no money required, okay? And although I have bought, well, I haven't bought, but I've put houses under contract for $1, for $10, for $100. Normally, in the scope of time that I've done it, $1,000 is like the maximum that I go. I did go to 2,000. I told you the story of that on my last 5-day challenge. But yeah, I try and tell people that you're looking for distressed buyers, okay? Distressed sellers, excuse me. So you're looking for people that need to get out of their properties, and they just want somebody to come and save them. So you don't really need any money whatsoever. Now, if you don't have money and they say they want $1,000, how are you going to fund that deal? How is it going to work? So there's a bunch of ways you can do it. You can borrow from a friend. You can borrow from a family member. I don't suggest that, especially in your first deal, right? And you can tell them, if you, and I'm going to show you, I could show you ways. If you have a good deal, say the house is worth $100,000 and you can buy it for $70,000, and you need only $1,000 to secure the contract to allow you to control that property, and you can flip it for easily for $75,000. That's a $5,000 profit. You'll find $1,000. You can say, you can tell your friend, listen, give me $1,000. Within the month's time, I'll give you $1,500 back. You're giving him 50% on his money. You're going to guarantee it by showing him the front end contract that you have for 70 and the back end flip contract for 75. I show you how to do that very simply. And that's not being a pig. You could take that $70,000 thing and probably flip it for 85 and make 15 grand real easy, right? So you can give somebody let me borrow 1,000, I'll give you 2,000 in a month, right? You're still making a ton of money. So and that's one way. There's another way, very simply. I mean, if you have credit cards, you can borrow. Say you have a $3,000 credit limit, your cash limit is $1,000. You can borrow $1,000 off your credit card, and you're paying that back before the credit card bill even comes. If you flip that house in 15 to 30 days, that's a zero interest. That's money for free that you're getting on your credit card. When you cash advance out, you pay that right back when you're done with the flip. If you make a mistake, you have 1 month. What's 1 month of interest? Even at 29%, it's you're going to pay back $1,180 or something, and it took you 2 months, right? But in the meantime, that's no money out of your pocket. So you borrowed from your friend, it's a no money down deal. You borrow off your credit card, no money down deal. So when people say you can't buy properties, no money down, absolutely incorrect.
I know, I know. I mean, there is creative financing, hard money lenders
Yeah.
out there. I personally am part of this group, Women Who Invest. That there's some women out there that will lend for that $1,000 down payment. Yeah, you might have to pay them 1,500 or even 2,000, but you're making it back. You're just
Right,
making it
exactly.
back. So the down payment, that $1,000 down payment, should not deter you from going out there and looking for homes. Now,
Right.
what are the three flags? Let's say a red flag that you already said about what you should look at architecturally, but what's a red flag in terms of, like, if somebody wanted to lend them the money? Like, if I walked up to someone and I said, "Oh, I'll lend you the money," I mean, is there like do they look at the interest rate or at how much they're getting, or what should
Well,
keep them away
people
from a
are
hard money lender?
well. So the first, the key to this whole thing is that you have to trust yourself with what you're doing and be confident. Okay, and if you are confident, even if you've never done a deal before, you're going to go to somebody that knows you, because you're not going to go off the bat to somebody that doesn't know you and say, "I need $1,000." Nobody's going to listen to you. I'm a real estate investor. It's my first deal. Oh yeah, forget it. But if you go to a friend or somebody, or like I said, maybe just a credit card the first 1 or 2 times, you build a track record for yourself. You keep the documentation of those deals in a book, whatever, or on your computer. And so with the third time now, you're out of the gate. You did 2 deals. You made 5,000 on each one. You can show the investor that's going to give you the $1,000. Hey, on this one here, it took me 12 days. I did this. This one took me 18 days. I did this. I made $10,000 in the last 2 months doing this. I have another one coming up now. I'd like to give you an opportunity, and say they don't want to give you the 1,000. Say, I'll make you a partner. All right,
Mm, okay.
you give away half of it. What's the difference? 2,500 is better than than nothing. They 5,000, you give them half. They'll give you the money. You say they'll split the profit. So there's so many ways to entice people, but the key thing is a track record, obviously, a couple of deals so that they can trust that you know what you're doing. And then from there, it's just the sky's the limit. I mean, you get 3 or 4 people, then other people want to invest with you. Other people might want to partner with you. So there's a lot of different avenues to go down for the funding, Diva.
Yeah. Okay, so now I find a property. What would be one renovation from an architecture standpoint? All right, one renovation move that would give me the highest return on my investment almost every single time.
Okay, so again, initially what I'm teaching is find, fund, and flip, where you don't do anything to the property
Oh,
whatsoever,
okay.
zero.
Okay.
Okay. Now the next thing, find, fund, fix, and flip, is for somebody that has some money in their pocket, right? Because if you're going to now, and you're buying the house, that means you're not going to be renovating it if you're just in contract and you don't own it, because if you can't perform, or those renovations go to the owner. So that all those improvements are belong to the owner. Even if you have a contract, if you can't perform on the contract, they get the house with all the improvements in it. They throw you to the curb. So find, fund, fix, and flip. The best place to put your money: kitchens and bathrooms. Kitchen is always the number one thing, but the kitchen, and I'm a kitchen cabinet wholesaler. Okay, I've been doing this for 40 years. I have rental properties all over the place, and I decided, instead of paying Home Depot 12 to 15 grand for a kitchen, as a wholesaler, I get that same exact kitchen for 5 grand. So
Wow.
imagine if I do 3 houses, 5 houses a year, I save 10 times 5. That's $50,000 I would have been paying somebody. So this is built-in profit as well when you flip the house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the 2 areas, or again, you can get a nice-looking house where the kitchens are good. You can paint the kitchens. It's less expensive than ripping things out and putting it back together. Or you can just do cosmetic fixes, just some landscaping outside. I show people, simple, easy, $5,000 to $10,000 investments on the exterior specifically, and a little bit of fix up on the interior with some paint, and you get out of that property. You can still make a good profit, and you want to do it fast, because when you buy that house, you have a mortgage payment coming every year, month, and you
Yeah.
have insurance,
Yeah.
and you have maintenance, and you have heating bills. So when it's a whole different animal: find, fund, fix, and flip. So
Okay.
for beginners, we do
Okay.
find, fund, and flip. So and again, these are the simple things, Diva, that we do for beginners, for
Okay.
people with no money, and people with no experience, and people that really have no way of understanding how the process works. Once you do this a few times, what I was taught way back when is you do these 3 steps and you make $5,000 to $10,000 a flip. You do it for 1 year. You try and do one a month if you can. You build up a stack of cash for 100 grand. Then you take that 100 grand and you go buy a house for cash. Now you have no mortgage. You have a rental property, and now you start building your legacy wealth. And again, so this is a process. This isn't an instant, money machine where everybody gets rich overnight. This is a process that takes time, and you need to have a steady and consistent blueprint that allows you to follow it. And if you follow it month by month and you do something, you build some cash, at the end you can have a house clear and free, that you can buy for cash, and then you do the process again another year and build another 50 to 100,000. So
You
that's
rinse
how
and repeat, right? You rinse and repeat, right?
that's right.
Now,
That's
one thing
right.
that I teach my clients as well as my viewers is I teach them that same dollar can either trap them or give them freedom. The same dollar. It's what you do with it. So now I like this graphic you have here with find, fund, and flip. So for the viewers out there, if they wanted to know how you do this re-wholesaling, finding properties and funding properties and flipping them, what would these viewers have to do? I mean, where do they go to find
Well,
you?
yeah,
To
if they want to contact me, okay, I am running a 5-day challenge next week, and for all your viewers out of here, Diva, I'm going to put up the information if you don't mind, and
I don't
and
mind.
people can go. Yeah, people can come to my seminar, my webinar, or my teachings, however you want it, whatever you want to call it, and it's February 16th to the 20th. It's at 2 p.m. to 2:45, 45 minutes. Eastern Standard Time. This next week coming up, there's a QR code there. Take your phones out. If you're watching the replay, take your phone out and just scan that code. It's going to take you to the application page where for $29, You can come and go as you want. There'll be replays. There's going to be a dashboard so that you can watch the replays. It'll be up for approximately 6 days after the event is over for the next week. We leave that up for folks. And then there'll also be, if people are interested, a VIP session after the main general session that we do deep dives, and we'll answer all your questions, whatever you can throw at me, on how to get started doing real estate, finding, funding, and flipping. And it's just, I've been doing this for 40 years, Diva. I have many, many students around the world that I've taught this to. I've been training people since 2 years. 2 years after I got started, I brought in my first partner and showed them how to do this. He was an attorney, Stephen Grosser. And then I brought in a builder, Tommy Ryan. We had venture builders, Thunderbird builders. We formed our LLCs, Diva, which you know about.
Yeah.
And we had partnerships. And, I don't advise people when they're first starting to get into partnerships with people. I was doing it because I was young. I was in my 20s. We were all friends. We all went to school together, knew each other from grade school. We had good experiences. We did have one partner come in, Richie Lenahan. He was a rookie cop. He got married. His wife got pregnant. We were on a 7-year deal, and we took him out in 3 years because we didn't have to on paper. We were 7 years. We were bound to that, but we were all friends. So Tommy and I, the builder, myself, he was just an investor as a police officer. We took out. We had 6 houses then. We each had 2. We bought his 2 out, gave him his cash so he could raise his family, and he came back into the real estate later on. And then Richie died during COVID, young guy. Unfortunately, he was a lieutenant though. He made his way all the way up. Yeah, he good man. But again, so just be careful. I can help you avoid all those pitfalls, Diva, if you really want to bring somebody in and partner with somebody and do these deals together.
Yeah.
But, these are the types of things we do.
So what is the just an average? I know you can't. I know that you or I both. Neither one of us are saying that if you do this, you go and you find a home and you fund it and you flip it, that you are going to make money each and every time, because there are other unpredictables. But let's say I did do this. I join your challenge. I go through your process. I learn how to do it, and I have a license. But if you don't need a license to do what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And some states, there are some states now that say you can't wholesale properties. They have some sort of law, whatever. And the deal really is nobody's monitoring it, so it's not being policed. However, if you're in a state that's doing that, we advise people to use transactional funding. If the deal is right, close it, and then sell it. So you are the owner. So you're not wholesaling. You're not flipping.
Right.
It's called it's an intermediate flip. They call that.
Right.
The problem with that is if it's only $5,000 or $6,000 profit, and you have 2 closings because you're going to buy it and then you're going to sell it, that money gets eaten up because of the closing costs and the fees, right? So if you're going to do that type of thing in that state, then I would say you have to make at least a minimum of $10,000 to $15,000 on those deals. So there's money to be made on it, because you're paying attorneys, you're paying title companies, you're paying recording tax, mortgage tax, twice. You're doing it. When you flip a house, you don't pay any of that because you're taking your contract and you're assigning it to the buyer, okay, and the seller and the buyer, and you're in between, and you make what's called a wholesaling fee.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a way around it.
And in some places, you need a realtor to get involved. You just can't go and find and flip a home without going through a realtor. And so you have to, depending upon what state you're in, you really do your due diligence and look, right? Just check it out.
I use realtors all the time. Realtors, a realtor brought me a hoarder's house, okay, and I made $160,000 on it. She didn't put it into the marketplace, into the MLS. She brought it to me first, and I gave her some money. We worked something out. So there's always opportunities there. You don't have to use a realtor though. I can show you over 100 ways to find properties off market where you don't need anybody but yourself, some social media perhaps. And again, Diva, you know what I'm going to do here, right?
Put it up. Go ahead.
I'm going to, first of all, everybody plays Monopoly when they're a kid, right? And nobody's afraid to roll the dice and spend money and buy properties here. All of a sudden, we become adults and we're like, we don't want, this is crazy. In the meantime, this card, I've used this card for over 40 years. I developed it 40 years ago as a vehicle to let people know what I do. And that's all you really need. You can take this anywhere, you can leave it anywhere, and I tell people, again, not zero money, $50, you get yourself 1,000 cards. Okay, that should take you a couple of months to dump those out if you're slow. If 1 month if you're fast. You put those cards out, 1,000 cards, I guarantee you'll have 5 deals in your pocket. Okay, and again, you give them to realtors. You join free real estate investment clubs. Let people know you're a beginner. Hey, listen, I worked with somebody. He showed me how to do this flipping stuff. I'm getting started. I'm looking for any sort of deals. Do you have anything? Is there something I can help you with? Do you have a deal maybe you're trying to sell? I can find some buyers for you. And you work the system. And I have my system, again, is a very simple system that allows you to find, fund, and flip within 15 to 30 days. And my process is proven. It's guaranteed. I've been doing it for 40 years. I taught my son. My son worked with me. We got out of college in 3 years, and he made his first $50,000 in less than a year doing 2 deals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you talk about a challenge. So when is your challenge again? Can you put in the link? Or
so my challenge is February 16th to the 20th.
Get out of the way. Yeah.
2 to 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here in New York. I'm in Tuxedo Park, New York, where the tuxedo originated, and we're broadcasting.
Let me get out of your way so that they can see the link, because they can't see the link if I get in your way.
Yep, and we have seats are available, $29. You can come and go as you want. They're going to be recorded, and there will be a VIP session afterwards for another hour from 3 to 4, and we will have the replays up in a dashboard specifically, so if you miss a piece or for some reason you can't make it, you can always go there when you have the free time and rewatch it, and we will have that up for 1 week after the challenge, so you can go back and review it. And we take on all the questions you might have. I'm going to teach you in 5 days how to find, fund, and flip. I'm going to give you at day 5, I'm going to give you a quick action 30-day plan on how you can actually put this process in place and really make it happen if you want to.
See that? Oh, this is wonderful, guys, for my viewers. Please take advantage of this. This is where you can get generational wealth. I can tell you, and I'm not talking from theory, I'm talking from experience, all right? I've been flipping homes and buying homes and keeping them and funding them, and I've been doing this for a very long time myself. I'm a realtor now, but I wasn't a realtor back in the early 80s when the Carlton Sheets were out there teaching you how to buy homes with no money down, because that was how my husband Al and I did our very first flip. We bought a home in an auction for $5,000, and that was way back then. Today, if I would have kept it, it's well worth over. It's millions. I mean, it's just crazy. So real estate will appreciate. It's the only vehicle that I could think of that can appreciates, and you get cash flow if you keep it, and you can show a loss on your taxes.
Get depreciation,
I mean,
Diva,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You get the depreciation, you get the asset appreciation, and you get your tenants to pay down the mortgage, so that your mortgage goes down. So it's a win-win-win. And you can if you don't want to manage these things yourself, again, buy, fund, fix, flip, or hold. I teach you how to do that too. And you're holding. There's management companies, so you don't have to get involved at all. Or you can be involved as much as you want, depending on how you want to do it and how many properties you have. And it's definitely, it gives you so much flexibility, Diva, right? And after you have a few properties, even if you have a job, another job, you want to stay with that and do this, you can, as long as you do 750 hours a year, you can get declared as a real estate developer, real estate investor on your tax return, and take advantage, Diva, of all that entails.
Everything.
Very deeply on your stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Liborio, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that you've done this for the audience out there.
You.
Please join his challenge, his 5-day challenge. It'll be a nice, intimate group. You can ask him any questions. I've been on his challenges. I mean, he'll answer anything and everything. Of course, he's going to stay within his boundaries. Otherwise, you'll get his opinion. But he's very knowledgeable. And think about it. You get an architect who's an investor who can actually guide you. It's a no-brainer. You have to tap into Liborio Derario's 5-day challenge.
And Diva, I am a builder also.
Oh, look at that.
Building
That's
houses, right? I built my first house in 1985. So I know what it takes to take apart a house and put it back together. I know how to design it, and I know how to find, fund, and flip the properties. So that's the best part of it. And the best part for me is watching other people succeed and do the same thing. I want to pass this on to people, just like I passed it on to my son. My daughter did one for me. My daughter actually found our shore house down in Jersey. So anyone can do it, any age. There is no age limit here. No old, young, medium. You can do this as long as you want to, and as long as you follow the blueprint.
Right. And think about it, guys. If you need 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, it's no brainer. You've got to do this. I can't thank you enough. Before I let you go, I am going to, I'm going to, a shameless plug here on my own challenge. I have a 5-day challenge again. This will be my second one. It'll be on February 23rd through the 27th at 2 p.m. Central Time. And it's 5 moves to retire. And I call it to retire. And it's not that you're going to be retiring, blah, blah, blah. It's just going to give you freedom, to financial freedom. So I'll take you through steps, 5 days, every day, give you some steps that if you implement, now think about this. If you make the moves and you implement those steps, there could be a day when you could look back and say money is of no concern for you, for your children, for their children. You'll leave a legacy. And who doesn't want to do that? I know, because I came from nothing, absolutely nothing, for those of you that know me, okay? I was hungry all the time. So I actually take the $29 that they pay for the challenge and earmark them for the Open Door mission so that others can get fed, something that I wasn't done. But Liborio, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you being here. You take care, and I'll see you on your challenge, my friend.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you on yours.
Okay, well, that, my friend, is Diva's 2 cents.
Recording stopped.